I'm Melissa, a 28-year-old financial advisor from Denver, Colorado, and I thought I'd finally found my fairy tale ending. Picture this, a warm family gathering at my fiancé's parents' house in Lakewood, the kind with vintage china and the aroma of honey-glazed ham filling the air. We just announced our wedding date, and both families were there, laughing, raising their wine glasses, celebrating our future together. I was nervous but hopeful, doing my best to impress my soon-to-be in-laws. The evening felt perfect, like something out of a Hallmark movie. Then, without warning, my world exploded. "You stole my wallet, you filthy thief." The words cut through the dinner conversation like a chainsaw. My future sister-in-law Vanessa stood in the middle of the dining room, her voice sharp as broken glass, holding up a designer leather wallet like it was evidence in a murder trial. Every single head at that table turned toward me. My mother, my younger brother Jake, Connor's parents, even the cousins I'd just met an hour ago. My stomach plummeted to the floor. The room went dead silent except for the soft hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. I felt my face burn crimson as every pair of eyes locked onto me, waiting for an explanation I couldn't possibly give. "Vanessa, I started, but she cut me off with her perfectly manicured finger pointing at me like a loaded weapon. "Don't you dare lie to me," she snarled. "I saw it in your bag, you thief. You think you can just waltz into this family and take whatever you want?" Her words hit me like a physical blow, and I froze completely, my mind scrambling to make sense of what was happening. The wallet she was waving around was definitely hers. I'd seen it before, slung over her shoulder at all those expensive restaurants she never paid for. But I swear on my grandmother's grave, I never touched it. I didn't even bring a purse to dinner tonight. I was too stunned to speak, my heart hammering against my ribs as I felt the crushing weight of everyone's stares. But here's the thing about me, I'm not the kind of person who gets tangled up in family drama like this. Growing up, it was just me, my mom, and my little brother Jake in a cramped apartment in downtown Denver. My dad disappeared when I was 7, leaving mom to raise us on her nursing assistant salary. Money was always tight, but our bond was unbreakable. I learned early to work hard, keep my nose clean, and stay out of trouble. That's how I landed my position at Rocky Mountain Financial, analyzing portfolios and building a life I could actually be proud of. It's also where I met Connor, my fiancé, who happens to be my team leader. Connor is different from anyone I've ever known. He's 30 with this quiet confidence that makes you feel completely safe, like he's got everything figured out. He grew up in a blue-collar family, his dad's an electrician, his mom manages a local bakery, and there's this grounded quality about him that drew me in from day one. When Connor and I started dating, it wasn't just physical attraction, it was trust built through countless late-night conversations about our dreams and fears. He really saw me, the real me beneath all my carefully constructed walls. When he proposed at Red Rocks Amphitheater during a sunset that painted the sky gold and purple, I felt like I'd finally found where I belonged in this world. But Vanessa? She's Connor's older sister, and from our very first meeting, I knew she spelled trouble. She's 34 with this larger-than-life presence, always dressed like she stepped out of a fashion magazine, complete with bold red lipstick and a laugh that demands everyone's attention. Connor had warned me she could be intense, but I had no idea what I was walking into. After we got engaged, she started texting me constantly, suggesting lunch dates at trendy spots in downtown Denver's Lodo district. She'd pick places like Guard and Grace or Mercantile Dining, then conveniently forget her credit card or claim her account was frozen. I'd end up paying every single time, thinking I was being kind, trying to bond with my future sister-in-law. "Oh shoot, Melissa, I totally spaced and left my wallet in my other purse," she'd say with that practiced pout. "Can you cover me? I'll totally Venmo you back tonight, I promise." Those promises never materialized. Not once. The bills kept adding up, $75 here, $120 there, and she never paid me back. I started dreading her texts, but I kept going, hoping she'd eventually warm up to me. After all, she was Connor's sister, and I desperately wanted his family to accept me. Looking back, I should have recognized the red flags sooner, but I was too caught up in wedding planning bliss to notice. Connor and I had been together for 3 years, and our love felt like something from a romance novel, the kind that makes you believe in second chances and happily ever afters. After my father abandoned us, I'd spent years building fortress walls around my heart, terrified of being left behind again. But Connor was patient, slowly chipping away at those defenses with his steady kindness and reliability. We'd stay late at the office, talking about everything from market trends to our favorite dive bars in the Highlands neighborhood. When he proposed, I felt like I was finally coming home. Telling my family was pure joy. My mom, who'd spent her life caring for patients and raising Jake and me single-handedly, cried happy tears when I showed her the ring. Jake, my rock and protector despite being younger, was there too, his eyes lighting up as he bear-hugged Connor. "You better take good care of my sister," Jake said, his voice warm but carrying that protective edge I knew so well. Jake's always been my champion, even though he's the one who's faced real challenges. He was born with a mild form of cerebral palsy that affects his left side, but he's a software developer now, working remotely and turning his coding skills into digital art that goes viral online. His strength inspires me every day, and having his blessing meant everything to me. Telling Connor's family was a completely different experience. I'd met his parents several times before at their cozy ranch-style home in Wheat Ridge, and they'd welcomed me with genuine warmth. His father, Pete, an electrician with work-worn hands and a gentle smile, had this quiet pride when he talked about Connor's success at the financial firm. His mother, Linda, who manages the local sweet treats bakery, fussed over me like I was already family, insisting I take home containers of her famous chocolate chip cookies. But Vanessa wasn't there during that first visit, and I could see the relief in Connor's shoulders. "She's complicated," he'd said, his jaw tensing slightly. "She's got this big personality, and sometimes she gets jealous of what other people have built for themselves. Just be careful around her, okay?" I didn't understand then. I figured, how difficult could she really be? She was going to be my sister-in-law, and I wanted desperately for us to get along. Growing up without a father had taught me that family is precious, and you have to fight for those connections. I was determined to find my place in Connor's world. So when Vanessa finally showed up one evening, bursting through the front door with a theatrical "I'm home," I plastered on my brightest smile. She was absolutely striking, tall with perfectly styled blonde waves and a designer blazer that probably cost more than my monthly rent. "So you're Melissa," she said, her green eyes scanning me like I was applying for a job. "Where exactly did you meet Connor? What's your position at the company? You look like you do pretty well for yourself." Her rapid-fire questions caught me completely off guard, and Connor immediately stepped in, his voice sharp with warning. "Vanessa, back off. This is her first time really talking with you." But she just smirked, completely ignoring him, and asked for my phone number. "We're going to be sisters-in-law, right? We should definitely hang out and get to know each other better." I hesitated, sensing something off about her eagerness, but gave her my number anyway. I didn't want to start our relationship on a hostile note. Looking back now, that was my first critical mistake. Soon, Vanessa was blowing up my phone with lunch invitations to expensive restaurants in Cherry Creek and downtown Denver. I'd drive over, genuinely excited to bond with her, only to hear those same manipulative words every single time. "Oh no, I totally forgot my purse. Can you cover me today? I'll get you next time, I swear." Next time never came. She'd claim her bank account was having issues, or she was waiting for a check to clear, or her ex-husband was late with support payments. Spoiler alert, she never paid me back. I started to dread seeing her name pop up on my phone, but I kept accepting her invitations, hoping she'd eventually come around. After all, she was Connor's sister, and I wanted to believe that deep down, she'd learned to accept me as part of the family. As the weeks turned into months, Vanessa's lunch scams became an exhausting pattern I couldn't ignore anymore. Every time we met at some overpriced bistro in downtown Denver, places like Ophelia's Electric Soapbox or the Capitol Grill, she'd pull the exact same con. "Melissa, I'm so embarrassed," she'd say, batting her eyelashes while sipping her $18 cocktail. "My card got declined. Something weird with the bank. Can you spot me this once?" I'd nod, forcing a smile and reaching for my wallet, telling myself it was just lunch money. No big deal, right? Wrong. Those lunches were bleeding my budget dry, and every unpaid check felt like a knife twist. I'd grown up watching my mom stretch every dollar to make ends meet, so every time Vanessa stiffed me, it felt like a personal betrayal. I started seeing her for who she really was, not forgetful, but calculating. Her texts were always bubbly and full of heart emojis, but there was this predatory edge to her behavior, like she was testing how far she could push me. One afternoon, after I'd paid for yet another expensive meal, I finally worked up the courage to ask, "Hey Vanessa, could you send me the money for last week's lunch at Root Down? And maybe the one before that?" Her laugh was like nails on a chalkboard. "Oh, come on, Melissa. It's just a few bucks here and there. We're practically family, right? Don't stress about small stuff like that." Her words made me feel like I was the one being unreasonable for wanting my money back. I stopped responding to her texts as quickly, making excuses to avoid lunch dates, but that uneasy feeling in my stomach kept growing stronger. Then came the day that changed everything between us. I was leaving the office with Connor, our fingers intertwined, laughing about some ridiculous wedding venue we'd looked at online, a converted airplane hangar that wanted to charge us $15,000 just for the space. We were joking about eloping to Vegas when I heard her voice cutting through the evening air. "Melissa." Vanessa was leaning against a lamppost outside our building, arms crossed, wearing that fake smile I'd learned to recognize as danger. "Leaving work with your man, huh? Must be nice having that kind of schedule flexibility." Her tone was dripping with sarcasm and resentment, and I watched Connor's face darken immediately. "What do you want, Vanessa?" he asked, his voice low and warning. She ignored him completely, turning her full attention to me. "I've got dinner plans with some girlfriends tonight at Elway's, but I'm running a little short on cash. Melissa, could you lend me maybe $80? I'll pay you back tomorrow, I promise." Her eyes were wide and desperate, but I'd heard that promise too many times before. Something inside me finally snapped. "No, Vanessa," I said, surprising myself with how steady and firm my voice sounded. "You haven't paid me back for any of the lunches. I can't keep doing this anymore." Her face twisted like I'd slapped her across the cheek. "Wow, so cold," Vanessa hissed, her mask finally slipping completely. "We're supposed to be family, Melissa. Families help each other out. Besides, you make good money working with Connor and all." She said it like she had access to my bank statements, which she definitely didn't. I felt my chest tighten, anger bubbling up from somewhere deep inside me. She was trying to guilt-trip me, and for the first time, it wasn't working. Before I could fire back, Connor stepped between us, his voice calm but absolutely steel-hard. "That's enough, Vanessa. You don't get to talk to her like that. Pay her back what you owe her, or don't ask for another cent. Ever." Vanessa's jaw dropped like she couldn't believe her little brother was calling her out in public. "You're choosing her over me," she spat, her voice rising to a shriek. "Your own sister? She's not even family yet, Connor. You think she's better than me because she's got some fancy finance job." "Go home, Vanessa," Connor said, his voice like granite. "We're done here." We turned and walked away, her angry shouts echoing behind us. I could feel curious stares from co-workers heading to their cars, and my face burned with embarrassment. But Connor squeezed my hand tightly, anchoring me. "Don't let her get under your skin," he whispered. "She's always been like this with people I care about." That night, I couldn't sleep. Vanessa's words kept replaying in my head, twisting my excitement about the wedding into something sour and anxious. I wanted to believe she was just jealous like Connor said, but part of me wondered if she'd always be this toxic presence in our lives. I had no idea how far she was willing to go to destroy us. The family dinner was supposed to be a celebration. Connor's parents had invited everyone to their house to toast our engagement officially, and I was nervous but excited. My mom and Jake drove over from our side of town, and the dining room table was packed with Connor's relatives, aunts, uncles, cousins, all laughing and passing around plates of Linda's famous glazed ham and garlic mashed potatoes. I felt like I was finally fitting in, like I truly belonged somewhere. Vanessa was there too, but she'd been unusually quiet all evening, which should have been my first warning sign. I caught her staring at me several times, her eyes narrow and calculating, but I brushed it off. I didn't want to ruin the mood with my paranoia. Then, right after Linda brought out her homemade apple pie, everything went straight to hell. Vanessa came back from the bathroom, her face flushed and her voice shaking with manufactured outrage. "My wallet is gone," she announced to the entire table. "It was in my purse and now it's not there." She spun toward me, her fingers stabbing the air like an accusation. "Melissa, you took it, didn't you? I found it in your bag." Without waiting for a response, she reached down, grabbed a small purse from beside my chair, and triumphantly pulled out her black leather wallet, holding it up like a trophy. Gasps rippled around the table like a wave. My mom's wine glass trembled in her hand, and Connor's dad set down his coffee cup with a sharp clink that echoed in the sudden silence. Every pair of eyes at that table was staring at me, waiting for an explanation I couldn't possibly give. "Vanessa, I didn't take anything," I said, my voice cracking with shock. My heart was racing so fast I thought it might explode, and I felt like the walls were closing in around me. I hadn't even brought a purse to dinner, I'd left mine locked in my car. But Vanessa was on a roll now, her voice booming with righteous indignation. "Don't play innocent with me, Melissa. You've been eyeing my stuff since the day we met. You think you're so perfect, but you're nothing but a thief. I'm calling the police right now." She was practically vibrating with fake rage, and I felt tears prick the corners of my eyes. I looked desperately at Connor, who was gripping the edge of the table so hard his knuckles had turned white. I wanted to scream, to run out of that house and never look back, but I was completely frozen. Then something incredible happened. I started to laugh. It came out of nowhere, a sharp, disbelieving sound that cut through Vanessa's performance like a sword. It wasn't funny, not at all, but the sheer absurdity of her setup hit me like a lightning bolt. Her plan was so obvious, so desperately theatrical. Everyone stared at me like I'd lost my mind, and even Vanessa faltered, her face turning bright red with confusion and rage. "What the hell is so funny?" she snapped. Before I could answer, Jake's calm, steady voice cut through the tension like a knife through butter. "That's not Melissa's bag, Vanessa. It's mine." The room went absolutely silent. Jake, sitting in his wheelchair at the table, hadn't moved from his spot all evening. He'd been chatting with Linda about her bakery, his hands folded peacefully in his lap the entire time. "You think my sister stole your wallet?" he continued, his tone even but with an edge of quiet steel I recognized from our childhood. "Or maybe you think I did it?" Vanessa's face went completely blank. "What?" she stammered, sweat starting to bead on her forehead despite the cool air conditioning. Jake didn't blink. "I've been in this wheelchair since I was born, Vanessa. My cerebral palsy affects my left side pretty severely. I can't exactly jump up and rifle through your purse without anyone noticing." He paused, letting that sink in. "So how exactly did your wallet end up in my bag?" He leaned forward slightly, his voice taking on that analytical tone he used when he was debugging code. "I remember you coming over to greet us before dinner. You were standing right behind my chair, practically hovering over my bag. Did you slip your wallet in there while you were pretending to be friendly?" The dining room was dead silent now. You could have heard a pin drop on Linda's hardwood floors. Connor's mother gasped audibly, and his father's face darkened like a thundercloud. Vanessa's eyes darted around the room like a trapped animal, looking for an escape route that didn't exist. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. Jake's logical questioning had cornered her completely. I felt a surge of overwhelming gratitude for my little brother, who'd always had my back even when I didn't realize I needed protecting. Connor stood up slowly, his voice low but absolutely furious. "Vanessa, you tried to frame her," he said, each word deliberate and cutting. "You wanted to ruin this dinner, to destroy our relationship. You actually planted evidence to make my fiancé look like a criminal." He turned to me, his eyes softening with regret and love. "Melissa, I am so sorry. I should have warned you she'd go this far." Then he looked back at his sister, his voice turning to ice. "You've been talking trash about Melissa for months, trying to poison me against her. I didn't say anything because I hoped you'd come around, but I'm done protecting you." I was stunned. "She's been bad-mouthing me?" I whispered. Connor nodded grimly. "Constantly. Telling me you were using me for job advancement, that you were gold-digging, that you'd leave me once you found someone better. I never believed a word of it because I know who you are, Melissa." The truth was spilling out now, and there was no stopping it. Connor's parents were the first to break the shocked silence. "Vanessa, how could you?" Linda said, her voice trembling with disappointment and hurt. "Calling Melissa a thief in our home? This is absolutely shameful." Pete, usually so quiet and gentle, shook his head in disgust. "We raised you better than this. Where did we go wrong with you?" Their words hit hard, and I watched Vanessa flinch as her bravado completely crumbled. But she wasn't finished yet. She stood up, her chair scraping against the floor, and glared at me with pure hatred. "You're all making me the villain here," she said, her voice cracking. "I've been against this wedding from day one. I wanted you to mess up, Melissa, to show everyone who you really are. But you've ruined everything." For just a moment, I saw the pain behind her anger, years of feeling inferior to her successful brother, of living beyond her means, of chasing a lifestyle she couldn't afford. But her hurt didn't excuse what she tried to do to me. Connor was done holding back. "You've gone too far this time," he said. "Get out of our parents' house, and don't contact any of us until you get professional help." Without another word, Vanessa grabbed her wallet and purse and stormed out, the front door slamming so hard it rattled the windows. The silence that followed felt like pure freedom. A week later, Connor's parents made Vanessa pay back every penny she owed me from all those manipulative lunches. Our wedding was everything I'd dreamed of, intimate, joyful, and filled with people who truly loved us. Vanessa's absence was a gift that let us focus on what really mattered. Now, as I write this story, Connor and I are expecting our first child, and every day feels like a promise kept.